Ever wondered if your prayers have any real power? It's a question that nags at the corners of our minds, isn't it? Today we're going to explore this question in depth. We'll dive into an inspiring story, probe the science behind prayer, and wrap it all up with some key takeaways. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, you might find yourself surprised by what you learn. So, are you ready? Stick around as we delve into a story that might just make you believe. Meet George, a man who had hit rock bottom. He was jobless, homeless, and hopeless. His pockets were emptier than a politician's promises, and his prospects were as bleak as a winter's day in Alaska. But George wasn't always this way. Once upon a time, he had a job, a home, a life. He had dreams bigger than the Grand Canyon, and a heart that brimmed with hope. But life, as it often does, threw a curveball his way. George lost his job due to a company-wide restructuring, a fancy term for "we don't need you anymore." His home was taken away when the bank decided it liked his house more than it liked him. As for hope, well, it packed its bags and left with the job and the house. In this wild roller coaster of life, George found himself at the lowest point where the only way to look was up. And so, he started praying. Not the "Dear God, please let me win the lottery" kind of prayer, but the sincere, heartfelt plea for guidance, strength, and a sign that things would get better. Prayer became George's daily ritual, his solace in the storm. He'd pray in the morning, at night, and any time in between when the weight of the world threatened to crush him. He'd pray in the park, under the bridge, anywhere he could find a quiet moment. And with each prayer, he felt a little lighter, a little stronger, like he was shedding a layer of despair and replacing it with a layer of hope. But here's the funny thing, George wasn't praying for a job or a home. He was praying for the strength to keep going, the courage to face another day, the wisdom to learn from his past, and the hope that the future would be brighter. George found solace in prayer, but was it enough to turn his life around? George started praying, but not for a miracle. He prayed for strength, resilience, and hope. And slowly, but surely, things began to shift. The clouds of despair that hung over George's life began to part, revealing glimpses of the bright blue sky of possibility. George's prayers were not magic spells that instantly transformed his life into a fairy tale. No, it was more subtle than that. The changes were gradual and, some might argue, not even directly attributable to his prayers. But George would beg to differ. He started to notice a certain calmness within himself, a newfound ability to face the trials and tribulations of life with a quiet confidence. He began to feel stronger, more resilient. And above all, he started to feel hopeful. His spirit, once weighed down by the burdens of life, started to soar, and he attributed this transformation to his prayers. Now let's not forget, this is George we're talking about. The man who once tried to fix a leaky faucet with duct tape and ended up flooding his entire apartment. So when George started to see positive changes in his life, he was as surprised as anyone else. He even checked under his bed for a hidden self-help guru, but all he found was a forgotten pair of socks and a half-eaten sandwich. But the changes were real, and they were profound. The gloomy pessimist started to see the world through the lens of optimism. The constant worrier started to find peace in the midst of chaos. The man who once felt like a leaf in the wind, aimlessly drifting, started to feel anchored, grounded, and in control of his life. And all this, George believes, began when he started to pray, not for miracles but for strength, resilience, and hope. He found a sense of purpose, a sense of direction, and a sense of peace that he had never known before. George's life was changing, but was it the prayer, or was it something else? Well, that's a question only George can answer. But one thing is clear, George's prayers had a power that transformed his life in ways he never thought possible. Scientists have long studied the effects of prayer on the human brain, and the results are quite interesting. The act of prayer, regardless of religious affiliation, has shown to have a significant impact on mental health. Let's break it down into the basics, shall we? Imagine your brain as a complex circuit board buzzing with electrical activity. When you pray, it's like you're flipping a switch, causing a surge of positivity to course through your circuits. Research indicates that prayer can boost mood and reduce stress. It's like your own personal reset button, helping you to regain balance in the midst of life's ups and downs. Moreover, studies have shown that individuals who pray regularly tend to have better mental resilience. Now that's quite the mental workout, isn't it? It's fascinating, really, how a simple act of faith can have such profound effects on the brain. So there seems to be some scientific backing to the power of prayer. So what can we conclude about the power of prayer from George's story and the science behind it? Well, let's jog our memories a bit, shall we? We've discovered through George's journey that prayer can indeed be a powerful force. It served as a beacon of light for him during his darkest times, providing him with the mental fortitude to persevere. Now that's not just some feel-good statement, it's backed by science too. You see, prayer has this uncanny ability to tap into our inner reservoir of strength. When we're at our lowest, it can give us the nudge we need to pick ourselves up and keep going. It's like that supportive friend who's always there, reminding us of our potential even when we can't see it ourselves. But the power of prayer is not just about strength, it's also about resilience. It's about the capacity to bounce back from adversity, to dust ourselves off and say, okay life, what's next? It's about not just surviving, but thriving in the face of challenges. And let's not forget hope. Prayer is the embodiment of hope. It's a constant reminder that no matter how bleak things may seem, there's always a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel. Whether you're religious or not, the power of prayer might just be in the hope it gives us, the strength it provides, and the resilience it fosters. Until next time, stay hopeful, stay strong, and stay resilient. Before we wrap things up, we'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video and found it inspiring, why not hit the subscribe button? We've got plenty more stories like George's that highlight the incredible power of the human spirit. Remember, each like you give helps us reach more people who may just need that little nudge of motivation. And don't forget to follow us for more motivational stories that show the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Your support helps us keep creating content that can make a difference in someone's life. So, thank you for watching. Until next time, remember, stay hopeful, stay strong, and stay resilient.